What's up guys, welcome to today's video. Today we'll be looking at how to build a static website and host it up on Netlify. The main focus of the video is to add a contact form to the website and send off some information to our Netlify dashboard. And then we want to integrate some AWS functions or Netlify functions to send this email off to a bunch of different clients that receive this email. So let's get started. Just to get started, what is Netlify? Basically, Netlify is just a place where you can easily and very quickly host up your static website. By static website, I mean any website built HTML, CSS, JavaScript that is just the front end to your application. You can just drag and drop onto your dashboard or hook it up to your GitHub. As you can see on the page here, you simply connect your repository, add some start commands or the directory you've published in, and then deploy. And then every time you push to that branch on GitHub, your website will redeploy automatically, but you can also set this to not happen. I really enjoy or like Netlify's service. They have a very good free tier, and it's as easy as it gets to host up a static website. And for backend things like functions, I mean like a server, you don't really have to care about the server side because they are adopting the serverless approach. And by serverless, that just means that you simply write functions instead of full-fledged servers. You can just do some sort of backend command to hide something on your client side. If you want to send off some API or something like that, you can add a function to your website and it uses like AWS containers to do that. And we will be integrating NodeMailer, which will have sensitive information, and then use NodeMailer to send off this information. First things first, I'm going to set up a new repository on my GitHub that I will connect to Netlify. And this repository would be the main source of all the files and stuff. You can also build your website and just drag and drop it to Netlify, but I like the command line approach. We'll be using Vue.js and Vue Bootstrap for the layout. Vue Bootstrap is a nice front-end library, not front-end, but like a CSS library or framework that integrates with Vue and gives you the custom components to use. There is a pro tier and a free tier. I'll be using the free tier today, and we'll just simply be using the contact form. We aren't going to build a very big website. It's just to show you the workflow. So for NodeMailer, we'll be using the documentation. It's very easy, and they even provide us with a test account. So I don't have to go hide my SMTP details from you and stuff, but I will mention how you could add your own details, but it's pretty self-explanatory if you look at the documentation. Gmail has a little bit of a different approach. If you want to use your Gmail account, I'll show you that. And then finally, on our Netlify dashboard, after you create your account, you can just click on new site from Git, and then it will connect this repository. We have to choose it. So let's create a Netlify example, and you guys can go look at this repository after the video. I'll leave it up if you want to use it for any sort of examples or something. Description: a simple Netlify x NodeMailer x MDB contact form. Let's rename this a little bit. Netlify form example. Netlify maybe Vue form example. That might get a little bit too long, so this is the Netlify Vue form. Sorry, I waste a lot of time naming things, but I think that's good. And then we create the repository. That should be good for now. We won't touch that for a little bit. The repository is here, it's empty. We can use this to set the upstream repository. So let's go to our command line, and then I'm going to Vue create Netlify Vue form, And this is just the Vue CLI. To install it, you type npm install @vue/vue CLI, or just @vue/CLI. And then you install it globally by adding the -g flag, and then we can use some features. Let's just manually select some. I want that. I'm not going to do TypeScript. We won't need the router. We're just going to have one page. We won't need PWA support. Vuex is not necessary. We just have one page. We don't need to have global state. I don't want to lint or format my stuff. CSS preprocessors, we can put that in there in case we want to edit some Sass or something. And then just enter, and then we'll do with node Sass. And we would put this in dedicated config files and not save this for future projects. So this will install the Vue application in the directory that you gave the name. So let's just wait for this to finish. This is the MDB material design bootstrap page for Vue.js, and here is a few steps to follow to create the project. So we've already used the CLI to create the project, and then we have to go into the project, install it with npm install MDBvue, and then we can, in our app.vue, or maybe in the main.js file, we just import the CSS and we import the MDB CSS. So the top of the file would look like this, and then we can just run our app and MDB would be available. The component that we'll be using is the contact form. So we should probably find it. I think they have forms, and then just basic examples. What we want to do is we don't want to log in, we want a message. So let's see if we can contact this one. So we want to enter our name, our email, subject, and a message, send it off, and then we use these custom components that MDB provides to build the form, but we have to edit it to use it with Netlify, and then this will be the script that we have to import. So we have to import these components and then add it. But there are a few other things that we need to do, so let's get into that. So now that we've created our project, let's cd into Netlify Vue form and then open it with VS Code. VS Code is my favorite editor, and I'll always be using it. The theme that I have is I think it's called Seti Monakai. Thanks to the Coding Garden, CJ, for showing me this theme. I really enjoy it. So these are the files that have been built. Let's zoom in. These are the files that have been created by Vue, and we have to install our MDBvue to get started. So let's do npm install MDBvue. We don't have to add --save because that automatically, with the latest version of npm, it would save it to your package.json. While that's recording, let's go to our the main.js file to add those imports. This is ESLint. I didn't install it, so it's fine. The imports would look like we're getting started and then quick start, and then we have to scroll down to the existing project section. So that's down here. The things that we have to add is the CSS, and then we can go to the project again, and then we add the CSS right before app because we need the CSS in the app file. So we'll just save that, and we don't need to import it as some sort of module name because we just want to throw the CSS in there directly. So now that the install has completed, we should see we should have it available. So let's test it with a component. Let's go to the documentation and just add a random component. Let's add this one on the home page. Control C, and we need to add this as well. So let's add this first. We import this, Control C, and then go to our application, and we can do all of this can go. I think I copied the whole thing, so let's do that. And then what we need to do is remove this hello world component, save that song. We can go back and get the template like this, and this is copy paste coding, forgive me, and then paste that in there. Oops, that did not copy. Let's try again and paste that in there, and that should save. And let's do npm, I think it's, let's look at the start script. It's npm run serve for the development. So let's do npm run serve, and this should open a development server on 8080. Although this is ugly as hell, you can see it kind of works. It has the icons, it has the styled inputs, the button with the box shadow, typical material design stuff. There's no padding, it's quite ugly, but we know that the framework is imported, so we can start building our form. So we actually want this contact form because we want to send it off to someone. So what we'll do is we'll grab the script and then go put that in our code, the entire script tag, paste that, and then we'd also add the template just to get it started. But I want to make a few changes, so we'll paste the whole template, but before the form we'll add a I think it's called MDB container. Let's go check the documentation. We'll add layout, grid usage. So it's MDB container, MDB row, MDB call, and then the size of the call is next to that. So let's just do that. Control C that, paste that on top here, and we only want one column. And inside of the column we want to clear that and add our form. On the larger interfaces, the form can be, so I think we can do different sizes, but let's go look at the documentation to be sure of the sizing. So we can do, yeah, so we can do the classes, which I prefer over the call thing. So call SM, call MD, call large. So that's similar to Bootstrap, and we can just remove this. And I think we should do class call SM. Let's do 12 on the small screens. We can do call, let's do it in order. We'll do call LG6, and we can do call MD8. And then I want it to be centered, so we can do MX auto. And then for the form, I'm just going to add a class called W100, and I think that's a Bootstrap thing where you can add W100, makes it 100% width of the parent. So let's go look at that. It would be, yeah, refresh, don't see it, and that is because the oh, we didn't import the components. So let's import those components. You can also import the entire MDBvue thing into your project, but I think it's a bit better to import it one by one, so that you don't have to you don't have to import the entire JavaScript and stuff into your files and bloat up your project. So let's do MDB container, we'll do MDB row, we'll do MDB goal, and then we have to bring in MDB text area, and I think this needs to be a capital, and then we'll bring in, we have the input, so that's fine. I think we have all of them, and we can make this a little bit more readable, and then we can go to our components, just add what we don't have. Container, we want the row, we want the call, and we want the text area. I don't know why this is, yeah, oh, we have text area, but it's small letters, so I'm going to remove that. And then I'll also do that. And we can save this. Let's just indent this a little bit. And we can save this and go look at it again. And there we have our form. So there's a few things about Netlify, the forms, that we have to take care of. First of all, we need these attributes on the form to let Netlify know when we host it up on their website that this form is hooked up to their event listeners. So we have a hidden form field as well, so that bots, they'll fill this in because they think we need to they need to fill everything in. They'll send it off, and then Netlify will realize that, oh, this is probably a bot because they filled in a hidden form input and then not, add the submission to your dashboard. And then each of these things need a name, and it gets posted off like with a normal application, except we need to prevent the default action and send it off with an AJAX request. The way we need to add this form is actually we have to add it in two places. We have to add it in our index.html and in our component. And the reason for this is that Netlify or Vue.js is a single page application, and Netlify knows or doesn't know, it doesn't see the JavaScript rendered forms. And if we have a single page application and direct to a route, then we, on Netlify's side, we need to redirect to index.html all the time. But everything in the index.html is rendered dynamically with JavaScript. So the form doesn't exist on load, and Netlify doesn't know about it. So we have to add this form in our index.html as well, just to register the form. So let's do that. So if we look at our actual form, we have our name, we have our email, we have our subject, and our message. So what we need to do is go to our index.html in the public folder, and this is in this app div is where all our code would be rendered. So we need to add a static form first, and we'll add the actual data and everything here so that the form is registered as we need it. So we have the name field, or we have the email message. So we need the name and we need the subject. So let's just copy this and place that there, place that there. So now we don't have to actually have this HTML changed because we're hiding the form. So it's not necessary to render this on the page. So we can just do name equals name, and then name equals subject, and that's it. We have to add this bot field to our actual form in app.vue, and we can do that right under the form tag, p class hidden. And just in case that I don't know if that class exists, I'm just going to do display none. And we can also do that's about it. We need the bot field, the name, so we need to add all these names here. We can just do this, name equals, and then for the first one we want the name, the second one we want the email, third one we want the subject, and the last one we want the message. Name equals message. Save that, and the button should send off the form. All right. Oh, and the form needs the attributes. So let's go to our index.html, and we need to add this name property. Is important because this is the name of the submission on our dashboard. So let's do contact post bot field, and this data Netlify true is also very important. So just copy all of those and put it on our form here. Let's make sure they aren't double. Okay, save that. And to test this, we can just see if it submits something on the page. So let's go to our website. So this is the form that's supposed to be hidden, and it's good that it's there because we now know that it exists. So let's go to index.html, and we'll just test the hidden attribute. Go look at it again, and there it's gone. So if we inspect now, in our elements, we'll see that this form is hidden, and this is just so that Netlify can see the form exists before the page renders. And then in our actual component we have these, which is the data. So let's just add some gibberish. I think they will probably okay, we need a real email address. That's definitely real. Send that off. So it posts, that's a good thing. Cannot post to that route, and that's good because we should prevent the default submit and then handle it with an AJAX request. To use the request, we will, or to do the request, we'll use the browser's built-in fetch API. And to do that, first of all, in our form, we'll set a view attribute called @submit.prevent, and then we'll equal this to a function, and we'll call this handle submit. And in our export default, we'll add a method, so we'll add methods, and then we'll say handle the submit. And what we want to do when we handle the submit, first of all, is we want to send this stuff off as a URL encoded form data. So let's do an encode function as well. And then in handle submit, what we'll do is we'll say fetch, and we only have to send this off to our home route. In production, in development, we'll have to send it off to the submission created function if we create that function. So we'll have a look at that a bit later, but let's do fetch, and then we need to add some options, and the method is post. I think this can be like that, and the body, we need to do this dot encode, and then first of all we'll add a field called, I think it's called form name, and this is so that Netlify knows, and then that value would be contact, and the rest would be this dot form. So we're gonna spread out the form. We need to add an object here. We're gonna spread out the form to encode everything, and we also need to add headers. The headers would be I think it's called it would be the content type. So let's do content type, and then we want to send application / x www URL encoded. I think that's right, and then we can save that. So this dot encode accepts an object. So what we do is we can say data, and then what we want to do with this data is for each of the keys in the object, we want to add the name before the equal sign, and then for each of the values we want to add it after the equal sign. So what we can do is we'll say data dot, I think we can map over it, and then when we map we can say actually what we first want to do is we want to return a array. So return the object, because data is an object, dot keys to make it an array, to make the keys an array, and then we'll say data, and then what we want to do with this is we want to map over it, and then we'll have a key, and then for each key we want to return a string template literal like this, and then we want to say encode URI component like that, and we'll say the key on the left side, and then there's an equal sign here, and then we need another string, template literal, and then this we want to also encode URI component, but we want to say data at the key. So what this is doing is for each of the form objects, which we still need to create, so let's say name is equal to John, then it will say this would be an object saying name and then John, and then when we map over it, it creates an array, and then we say for each key, so name would be encoded here is equal to John. And the reason we say encode URI component is because sometimes we can't send, you know, special characters and stuff, and they need to be encoded. And then what we want to do is we want to join those, join the array again to make one long string, and the symbol we want to join it with is an @ symbol. So that's simple enough. And then after we fetch, we want to say .then, and this would be on success. So let's just add this, and then console.log successfully sent. And this is where you would want to maybe redirect your users or something like that, and then catch the error, and then for now just console.error the error, and that should do the job. Let's what we have to do now is populate the form data. So let's go look at this. I'm going to do this before components after name. Let's do data, and I'm going to do it in return an object, and then what we want to do is add a form property, because we set this .form, and the form property is a object that has name, email, subject, message. So what we need to do is add name, make that blank for now, email, we want the subject, and we want the message. Now we have the form data. What we want to do is model the form data on the inputs. So we don't have any, we don't have any V models, so let's just add those to bind these values to the form data. So what we want to do is model form.name, and we want to model form.email. We want to model form.subject, and then finally we want to model the form.message. So this hooks up the entire thing, and we can sort of look at this now. It won't currently work because we haven't set up any, we haven't hosted it up or anything like that, but let's go have a look at it in the project to see if we've broken something. So let's refresh, and the form looks okay. If we inspect the side, we have one error, unknown custom element MDB icon. So let's go just register that icon for now. Let's go to this and just add MDB icon, save that, that should work. Refresh and clear this, refresh again. You know what, I'm not really gonna worry about that too much because this isn't relevant to the project. So first of all, let's just remove that and say me@me.com, and we'll look at the network tab when we send this off. Test, and let's go to our network tab and do send. So okay, it sent it off with a fetch. It says cannot post to / because we don't have any post listeners there, but as soon as we put it up on Netlify, then it should be good. Here's the request payload. Form name is contact name is me, email. So we have, and that's the encoded value for @, and we have the entire string here. So what we can do now is just before we host this up or push it to GitHub, we should go to our code, and then in the code what we need to do is actually we have to set this as a single page application. So in this we have to do underscore in our public directory to I think it's in the public, just yeah, it's in the public, to add underscore redirects. And if we look at the Netlify docs, we can see that if you're developing a single page app and want history push state to work, we'll have to use this. So let's just copy that and then go to our code. In the redirects file, we paste that, save, and we actually have to add the redirects file to the root of our project, not to the public folder. So that should be there. Save that and then close that down, and this should be ready to host up to Netlify. We don't have to add any functions or anything right now because we've already the Netlify automatically listens to a post request to our application with the form. So let's try and host this up. Let's close this down. What we want to do is say git add everything, and then clear that. Let's first set a git remote add I think it was https github.com/my username, and then this project was called Netlify Vue form, I believe, the same as I saved it here, and .git, enter. Oh, we have to add a name for the, so let's just call it origin, and then enter. Okay, it's added, and we can look at that by saying git remote -v, and there we have our fetch and push, clear, and then we commit this -m initialize app, and we'll push this up. Oh, first we have to say, the first push we have to say -u origin master. Should push it up, and while that's going, we can go to our Netlify dashboard, and we'll say new site from github. I'll just log in quickly on my other screen. Okay, now we are in my GitHub, and these are all my repositories. So what I want to do is find the one we just created called Netlify Vue form. There it is. So to deploy, we want to deploy the master branch. We want to run npm run build to build our files, and then the directory we want to publish is dist, because that's where Vue builds to. Advanced options are adding environment variables to your project, so process.env to use some environment variables that don't get pushed to GitHub. So let's say deploy. Let's see if this pushed. It looks good. Let's click deploy, and now you should see it's in queued. If we open this up, we can read the logs. We're cloning the repository. It's installing our dependencies. This is Node. It's checking for Ruby, checking PHP. Now it's installing our npm modules. And this is really how easy it is to host up a website on Netlify. You just build it locally, push it up, and it will publish by itself. The first publish, you have to actually, give it some settings and stuff, but after that, it will automatically publish with each push. And you can set the as to a specific push as well if you don't want to have it keep changing. So there, it's just doing some. This is for Golang, I believe. And it's verifying our run directory. It's checking. Now this is where it starts building Vue. So it's using the npm run build command to build our Vue project. And if you look at it, it built the entry point is app, webpack recommendations. It's all these big files. Finish saving, and the site is live. Let's go check if it is. Preview deploy, and it gives you this odd URL. You can change this, and there our website works. So we can test our form. Let's inspect to see if there aren't any initial errors. It looks fine. Let's do and send that off. And we can see that we got a post error. It's saying handle submit, something happened, but it also says successfully sent. So the post request went through according to our front end code, but according to the network it didn't work. And what is the response? Page not found. Oh, and this is the redirect. After every post or whatever, it's going to try to redirect to some page or show you some Netlify page, but we didn't set that up, so it won't work. So I believe if we go to our dashboard, deploys, overview, go down, we should see submissions, but we don't. So that means that the submission did not go through. It realizes that we do have a form because we set it on our index.html file, and then it says no submissions yet. So let's find the error. If we inspect our app and look at the preview, we'd see that this is what Netlify responded with. It looks like you followed a broken link or entered a URL that does not exist on this site. And if we inspect the headers, we'll see that our data was sent. And if we look at the actual headers, I think probably a lot of you saw this in the beginning and were like banging your screen, but I believe this isn't the right content type. So the cool thing about Netlify is it's easy to edit your files and just post it up, and then we can also look at the build thing. So I think this should be www form-url encoded. Stupid mistake. Let's try that again. And we'll commit message, call it stupid mistake, and then we'll push it up. So let's have this push and then go look at the actual project. We'll see that it's published this one, but if we keep refreshing the page, let's reload it. After the push has completed, it should automatically trigger the new one, and it won't unpublish the previous one until this one is successfully built. So it looks like it deploy successful. Let's publish this one, and we can set up automatic publishing, but I just locked publishing for now. Let's preview the deploy. Sorry about that. Let's preview the deploy. Let's try this again and add some gibberish and then send it off. Let's inspect the console. Successfully sent. We don't have an error, so the network request should have gone through. I didn't record it, but it doesn't look like we have any errors. So let's go back to the project and we'll see our form submission in here. So that's great. We are receiving the form. You can look at all the details of the form, and a cool thing that we can do is in the settings, forms, and then I think there's a form notifications, and then we can add a notification to either send a post request to some service or integrate with Slack, so it sends you the messages to your Slack channel, or email notification. So you can add your own email here and give it the contact form, and every time a submission comes in, then you will receive that email. So I think for now this should be enough to get you going on Netlify, because you can add, I think, multiple notifications, and so you can just add those emails of the people. The thing is, the design of the email and stuff like that isn't up to you, and if you want to, I believe you need a pro account, a paid account, to design your emails and stuff. But if you want to see me integrate NodeMailer, this video is getting a little bit long. If you want to see me integrate NodeMailer into a Netlify function, then give this video a thumbs up or comment below and I will do that. But I wasn't really aware of the multiple email notifications, so it kind of seems not that useful to add NodeMailer unless you want to design a specific email or have it sent from a specific SMTP server or something like that. Then it would be important. So if you guys want to see that, I think that's a separate video. But thank you for watching the video, and I hope this all made sense and could help you set up a form on your Vue app static Netlify application, and show you a little bit of how to quickly deploy a static application on Netlify. You can even set up a custom domain. If you own any domains, you can just point it to this with the CNAME, or you can point the name servers even to Netlify, and you get a free SSL certificate, so you can see this is HTTPS. And yeah, so that's basically the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Remember, you can go to my website kaizenmedia.co.za and check out my YouTube videos there under the tutorials tab, and then if you feel like it, you could leave a donation on the donation page in the description. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.